A wedding video of the Asian couple is playing on the old TV. Francis and Iris cut the cake, and he kisses her belly as Iris is pregnant. After that, Francis and Iris travel with their sons Lucas and Joshua. The blood smudges on their car indicate the zombie outbreak worldwide. After driving miles, the family reaches an abandoned house. Francis opens the door to see everything is destroyed, picks up the lug tool, and moves to check the house. This is his parents' house and he has come here after many years. He goes upstairs and sees his father's dead body. He takes off his watch and takes the pistol from there. Moving ahead, he finds his mother whose torso is separated from the body and she has now become a zombie. She says sorry to him as she killed his father. Francis fears seeing her horrific face. As she crawls toward him, he shoots her to death. Francis buries them in the fields while his family is watching him quietly. Iris wakes up to find Francis sitting quietly looking out the window. Francis then draws water from the tap that is potable and points to the children. The boys run to the tap and he looks at his wife, but she prefers to go inside. Josh takes the medical kit inside and as he leaves, she starts smoking. Francis asks her to stop and the boys tell him to check the nearby cottage to find something useful. Josh and Francis go to the cottage where they find a torch and a chicken's cage. Josh sees the man is hanged and Francis asks him to remove the keys from his pent. Josh frantically tries to take out the keys and the body falls on him and he starts screaming. Returning home, Josh quickly washes his body and goes inside. Iris asks Francis about the matter and he says nothing, but Josh saw a dead body there. Francis gives Lucas a sugarcane and he becomes happy to eat it while Iris tells Francis that she wants to show him something. She takes him to the storeroom to start the generator. Francis checks it to find that the generator has no fuel. Francis leaves nervously and there are strange sketches on the room's walls. At the dinner table, Francis prays first. Lucas still eats the sugarcane and his mother stops him asking him to eat the food. Josh plays the radio to find any signal from the city, but Francis asks him to play it later. According to the news, Iris says they'll run out of food so they should head north. Francis says this place is much better than our first place, it is clean drinking water. He adds that the news going north is old now so they don't know how much danger is out there. Josh says that Alice said her family was going up to the mountains from the north. Francis angrily says they're not leaving to find his girlfriend. He says everyone has their own family and half of the humans are dead. Sitting outside, Josh tries to send Alice a message and looks at her pictures and his phone dies. Iris asks Francis to change his behavior with Josh and he only nods his head. Francis screams as a child and his father appears and he wakes up in a panic. He hugs Iris and she calms him. The couple stand near the fields and Francis asks her to stay here because he thinks this is a safe place. Iris says it's not enough to stay here, saying there's no electricity and they don't have enough food. She also mentions the last nights, realizing that something bad happened with Francis in that house. He still doesn't agree and remembers that Iris has been unfaithful to him and that his elder brother Diego is Joshua's biological father. Iris claims that she forgot about him and now they're her family and convinces him to move. The family leaves to find another place. Iris says they're not far from the north that Alice told Josh about. Josh says that Uncle Dago told Mother that we should head north, which makes Francis angry. Iris says he just called to check on us and he calls her a liar and loses his temper. They stopped at the bridge, which is blocked by the vehicles and corpses. The bridge is fenced off and Francis tells them to go back as he thinks there might be danger here. Iris claims that their car can cross the bridge and move out from the car to cut the fences. She starts cutting the fence and hearing the sound, a zombie soldier attacks her. Francis rushes to save her and shoots the zombie. Just before they return, their car is surrounded by the zombie horde. The kids scream in fear. Francis shoots one of them and they start chasing him. Iris runs away with the boys and Francis confronts the horde. He picks up a grenade and runs over the vehicles to save himself. He throws the bomb which blasts and kills all the zombies. They walk home and Iris is embarrassed by her stubbornness. As they get home, Francis tells her that now everything will be my way. The next day, Francis returns to the bridge to take the vehicle. Iris watches the boys playing and then smokes a cigarette. Francis starts the vehicle, but he returns home with the goods and fuel. He thinks that Iris will be reluctant to go again because of the car and tells her that the car has broken down. He goes to start the generator and is horrified to see a vision of his father. He is traumatized by being locked up in the basement as a child by his father. Francis turns on the lights and the AC, and the kids become happy while Iris asks him not to waste the gas. Francis plays music and dances with his kids. He then watches their wedding video and after that, they both make love together. Josh enjoys watching Alice's video and Lucas interrupts, telling him that he wants to sleep on his bed. The next day, Francis apologizes to Iris for his past behavior and asks her to start a new life. Seeing the children eating rice, Francis goes outside to get eggs, and inside the cage, a dog bites his hand. Iris bandages his wound and asks him for a rabies injection. He beats his hand on the table and says, "I'm fine." Josh plays the radio on the road and receives a transmission from Delta Camp. He tells his parents, but Francis says that the radio has been off for a long time. Iris suggests that he may have received the transmission, but Francis refuses to believe it. At the dinner table, Iris still thinks about the transmission and asks Francis to fix the van. Francis says, "What if we fix the van and drive for miles only to reach the place where people are living like folks?" Iris says, "There will be people, there will be doctors who can help us, and we can't stay in this remote area all our lives." Francis says, "Did you forget what happened last time at the bridge, or forget about what happened in the city?" After that, Josh comes to Francis and asks him to turn on the light so he can fix the radio again. Francis tells him it will not work, and Josh says he also wants to help. Francis asks him if can he kill the zombies to save your family, and Josh says yes because he wants to help him. Francis takes him to the fields to teach him about killing. In the first attempt, Josh fails to aim, and hearing the gunshots, Iris and Lucas also reach there. She asks Francis to stop, but he shouts at him to take the right aim. After 3 tries, Josh aims, but the sound of the noise wakes up many zombies sleeping there. Seeing this, they run towards the house while the zombies also start attacking them. They lock the house, but the horde is still standing outside and trying to break the door. As the zombies enter the house, a stranger arrives in a car and takes them away. The next dawn, Francis sees that everything is destroyed, and Iris asks him to find that man. Francis goes to see the man, who turns out to be his brother Diego, and Francis isn't happy to see him around. Diego says Hannah is infected, and he arrives to see their parents, and Francis tells him they are dead. Diego offers him help, but Francis points the gun at him, and Diego calls him miserable and helpless. Francis thinks he came here for Iris and says, "I can help my family so you don't have to worry about them." The reunion doesn't end well, and Diego gives him a map to the north side and leaves. Francis attempts to burn the map, but then keeps it and looks at Diego's jacket. He returns home, shows Iris the jacket, and tells her the man was left before he can meet him. Francis closes all the windows of the house with wooden fences while Iris and the boys watch this quietly. Josh asks his mother about the problem, and she says, "I'm just tired of your father." She gives him a cigarette to smoke and says your father doesn't understand this, but Josh tells her that maybe one day he will. Lucas sees the zombie standing near the window and trying to get in. Iris arrives and says he is weak and will die soon, and then they will go outside, while Francis listens to her chat. Francis goes to the fields and confronts the zombie, who asks to kill him. Francis thinks to shoot him, but then slits his throat and put the blood on his cloths. He reaches home holding her neck in his hand and stages being attacked by multiple zombies. He barricades the mansion while locking his family inside and spiraling further into paranoia. Joshua eventually finds Diego's map and confronts Francis over dinner, leading to Iris finally admitting that she wants to leave him, and Francis acknowledging that Joshua is not his son. Francis produces the map but burns it in front of Iris, who storms off. Later that night, a wounded soldier seeks shelter at the mansion and confirms that there are now less zombies outside. He adds that he was guided to the mansion by Diego, who was killed by the zombies. The next day, Joshua, fed up with his father's actions, leaves the mansion. Upon discovering this, Francis goes berserk, kills the soldier with a hammer, and locks Iris and Lucas in the basement. That night, Lucas feigns getting sick in order to gain Francis' attention. Iris then stabs Francis and locks him in the basement while taking Lucas for their escape. Francis tries to follow but becomes immobilized by flashbacks of his father locking him up. As Iris and Lucas open the main door, they are chased back inside by a reanimated Diego, who bites Lucas. Francis, hearing his family screams, recovers his sanity and escapes the basement. Francis kills Diego but collapses into a stupor upon seeing Lucas being bitten, leaving Iris alone to amputate his infected limb. Francis then returns to the checkpoint to retrieve their van, but is shot by a nervous Joshua, who mistakes Francis for a zombie due to the latter's stuttering and bloodied appearance. As Joshua begs for forgiveness, Francis acknowledges him as his son and dies, leaving Joshua to drive the van and rescue his mother and brother. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing videos.